Good evening, Wandering Beekeeper here. Welcome. Good to be here. We it is going to be a bit more of a ride this evening. I need to update my content warning. I've updated the tagging for the stream. There is going to be possibly some sexual content, at the very least, some very broad innuendo. Things are going to get risque, and with burlesque, sometimes things get serious. So, need to talk a little bit about style of play and about expectations because, well, the folks that got me into streaming in the first place, the Clovers, all have spoken at one time or another about figuring out what the game wants from the player. And yeah, I came into this thinking, well, I just came from a game where the cautious approach is normally the best. You win the game by minimizing your risk. This fall in London. It's all about the risk. I've been playing this game entirely backwards. So we're going to launch into this in just a moment, and I'm in the middle of the scenario. Now, this is only the first pass through the scenario. This is my first time with this game. I expected to have something go awry, and yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, there are things I need to do that, and then people I need to be much more forward with. I'm going to get anywhere at all with this. I do have some things happening. We did open a new location last time. Let's go on and get into the game. Oh, bother. Oh, come on. There we go. Helps if one remembers that one was previously streaming a different game. Ah. Oh dear. Yes. Yeah, there was a bonus Minecraft. And, so, here we are. We are in our Taylor's Garret. We need to come up with some money so that we can have something to wear besides what we've been wearing, and what we've been wearing has been completely bloody wrong. We need to maintain the blue rose. That badge has been putting people off this entire time. Which, of course it is. It's a badge. Nothing ever good ever really comes from a badge. Bloody hell. Anyway. I come in thinking, well, you know, if I'm represented as a, if I'm an official of the ministry, that gives me some sort of maybe credibility, but what was I thinking? I need to loosen up and see what I can salvage out of the rest of this run. Bear in mind that this is a limited scenario. We are in the season of Confessions. We have one more season to go, and then there is the Mask of the Rose itself, which is a one-day festival, and that concludes the game. I will be running through this more than once. I'm thinking probably 3 runs to really sort of poke at it properly. So this is our sort of first one here. Let's have a look at what we're doing here. It is currently the season of Confessions. 266 days since the fall. Things have not yet gotten worked out. We are still in... Things haven't quite gotten desperate enough for things to work out. Yeah. Let's see. I need to deliver the filled census form to Mr. Pages. I have 7... I only have 5 census pages. I need 2 more census pages. Still haven't managed to get this craft a story about what is really going on thing going on. I've got... Oh, bother. I've made rather a dog's breakfast of it, I'm afraid. So... let's just have a look here. Who we've got? We've got Archie, which... no bother. I'm going to have to, manage the flirtation with that. David... I want to ingratiate myself with him. I possibly can. He seems like he could be really useful. Grizz. Yeah. We're gonna keep Grizz at arm's length. Argit. Argit's a cop. Let's just move on. Horatia. The landlady. There is something with tentacles living in the basement, and I'm not going to be judgy. Ivy. Ivy Fitzclare. Oh my. Yeah, it's... yeah. I have this feeling I really ought to try to get to know her mother, possibly in a professional capacity. Did I mention the content warning? Escalating. Mr. Pages. One of the masters of the bazaar. I'm sorry. Not quick enough with the mute button there. Let me, there is a distinct possibility that Feel Better Games wants me to flirt with the giant space bat. This is not actually out of character for the Fallen London world, which is itself kind of... well, it really never gets R-rated. The original web game never did, but it got... there were Victorian circumlocutions used. Phoebe. Housekeeper. Seems like a useful ally. Likeable ally is our relationship. We've got that going there. We've got Rachel, who is getting complicated. Grumpy flirt. Things are heating up between me and Rachel, which could get really interesting because then there is, I think his name is Milton. There is a fellow who may or may not be a devil. We'll move on. Theo, Theophilus Withernwick. Theophilus is a reverend with the Anglican Church, which actually in his case doesn't really speak well of him. Let us go back here, and we need to head outside and go get something done. Would be nice, wouldn't it? Rather than just sitting here going back over things. We are at the boarding house at the moment. There's things we can do here. I could, none of that is going to get me toward a goal, though. Let me go back. The Landau's townhouse. Yeah, that would be kind of useful socially, but the Tinter Grounds Synagogue. There. St. Albans Proto-Martyr. Oh, I could get a census with Theophilus. There we go. That would get me number 6. That's a useful thing. Let us do the census with Theophilus. I'm going to wear the blue rose. I'm going to stick with the blue rose henceforth and just bother the badge. I find Theophilus hammering some scaffolding against the church walls. I can flirt with Theophilus. Oh, please. I could mention the renaming of the Thames. It's, well, the sort of unnaming. It's now referred to as the Stolen River. I can ask whether he knows where the devils congregate, or I can come straight to the point. Let's poke a little bit into something we probably shouldn't. That tends to be what this game is about. What this world is about. Do you know where the devils are found around here? I know where the devils congregate, but far, far be it from me ever to direct the unwary to their doorstep. Forgive me, but if you are curious, or worse, the merest contact with them could have the most severe and detrimental effect. Well, I can invent a fabulous tale of my reliability in all matters and try and be charming. The NPC artwork blinked when I said that. Oh, lordy. I'm going to take that as an omen. Promise to repay frankness somehow in the future. I can offer a quid pro quo. Having a marker out with Reverend Theo seems like it could be awkward, but possibly interesting in a game sort of way. Or I could stand closer to Theophilus and ask again. No. Just bloody no. I realize I already talked a bit about that whole thing of figuring out what the game wants from the player, and my having to rethink my gaming style because I have not been playing this game as if it was a Feel Better Games Fallen London universe thing. I've been playing way too conservatively and risk averse, and I need to. But there are some things. We're going to go with the quid pro quo. I'll owe you a favor if you tell me whatever you wish to collect. Oh my. We are commanded to be wise as serpents. I'll keep my own counsel, thank you. Alright. I can explain that I'm working for the Ministry on the Census, explain apologetically about the census, which has the shirt, which I think is where I have a bonus from something I'm wearing. I'm sorry for the interruption. Got a throat issue tonight. I'm sorry about that. But I've been sent to ask a few questions of the citizens of London, those who survived at any rate. Did the light just go on behind him? I swear, he put his hands down and the light went on behind him like, well, wait a minute. I'm not sure what the masters have in mind. Everybody says that. Nonetheless, it would be a help we play this game, I see. A decree went out from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. Oh, good grief. At least he has the good grace to smirk a little bit when he says it. I can reply with defiance to the church. I don't want to end this conversation right here. No. I need to get this done. I could ask what he's on about, which point he's going to have to witness to me. Or I can just laugh. Let's just laugh at the joke that he just made and move on. I laugh uproariously. I suppose we still have a month and more before Advent. I don't want to flirt. Why does it keep... I understand that it really wants me to, but I'm sorry. There's a couple of characters here that I'm just not going to get involved with. You know, it may cost me endings on the game. I don't know, but we'll see. Oh. Let's see. Let me, this has got an item marker, so I'm going to ask using the exact wording of the original census question. How many people live in your establishmentation? Theophilus lets out a surprised laugh. Well, I live alone in the rooms provided for the vicar of this parish. There is a woman who comes twice a week to clean, or there was. Her visits have been more erratic of late. She stole several spoons and a chafing dish from me. And my second best chestable. Who knows what she thought to do with it? Yeah, that's a religious vestment. What would you... One wonders... Got a ping here. Hold on a second. Something's popping here that I need to look at. Somebody wants me to review an unban request later. Not during stream. I will ban, I will not unban during stream. Yeah, a chasuble is a religious vestment, and it's a little concerning, although this is essentially Victorian London, and there was a thriving rag trade. Pretty much any article of clothing had value. There were, well, that's the whole thing going back a century before about people stealing sleeves off the clothesline. We move on. When I did not turn her off for dishonesty, she lost all respect for me. In retrospect, it was an error. I thought to show mercy. Now I sleep on damp sheets. You simply ask about Theophilus' romantic connections. Ask a critical question in a reassuring way, or no. We'll simply ask. We now reach the crux of the entire census. Are you married? I was married. The lady was 2 or 3 years older than myself, a very sensible and capable woman. Her name was Anne. I'm going to go on and pry. Ask what became of his wife. Anne Withenwick is no longer with you? Anne died giving birth to our first child. The baby did not survive her by more than a few days. That was sadly typical. That was a plot point. There was a subplot in the Ocean Voyage part of the work I was doing, The Last Geomancer. An actual historical person that I wrote into the story. I'd hoped to be reunited with them in the hereafter, but we see what the hereafter has proven to be, at least in my case. He believes he's already in hell, or at least in purgatory. It seems the Almighty has deemed me unworthy. I could challenge his interpretation and hope that I go in the direction of perhaps you are here because you are capable and the fallen souls need your guidance and your assistance. You know, play to the ego. That usually works. Don't know if that's the direction the game will go. I could change the subject with a bit of truly morbid humor, which would be amusing for the reaction I get. Or I can try to distract him with a joke. Making a joke right now is not going to go over. It's just not. Let's go with option 1. I doubt the Almighty takes that view. Vengeance is his, they say. We find ourselves here in the dark. Something has landed on the roof. Maybe a giant space bat? It sees us. Bat, Theophilus says. I can make light of the obvious danger. I could point out that it's far too large to be a bat, or I could just calmly ask whether it visits often. I was at a restaurant many years ago when a construction crewman in the middle of the breakfast rush began hammering on the roof. Bang, 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 bang. They stopped, and the Waitstaff looked up and looked back at me and said, "Mice," which led to a whole routine about carpenter mice. I'm going to calmly ask whether it visits often. Is that thing a frequent visitor? No, but it has come enough times that I am familiar with its noises. There's a master of the bazaar that likes being up on top of the church. It's landed there a few times before, especially when the choir is practicing. That's got to be disconcerting. I could suggest dishonestly that I've shot bigger beasts. Hello? No, I don't want to get into some sort of dick-waving thing here. This is no. We're not going to go that direction. Suggest it is drawn to the music, or I can just wait until it goes away. I have no idea how long it's going to be up there. I need to get on with this. Let's go with option 2 here. Being reasonable seems to be working with this guy more or less. Perhaps it likes music. Just as well the opera has been suspended in that case. Well, that may be why it's here. Might have carried off half of society by now. What's carrying people off? Excuse me? The thing up there is gone. The Tenterground synagogue's in better condition than our little church. I've wondered whether that signifies the direction of divine approval. I can ask Theophilus about his work, ask what happened to the church roof, or finish this conversation. Let's continue poking and ask about the church roof. Very bad condition, like gone in areas. What happened to the roof? Yes, that. It's... We must assume the fabric of the building sustained significant damage in the fall. We must assume. The funny thing is, it held up for weeks, but shortly after Pentecost, it all came down. I choose not to construe this as an intervention of the Holy Spirit. Well, I could disparage the architecture. He's going to get defensive. Would expect him to. Could comment that at least there's no risk of rain yet. We don't have condensation dripping off the roof yet. Congratulate him on his luck that no one was hurt. Don't know that. I don't think he said anything about whether anyone was hurt or not. And it seems like if I go with that option, I'm going to put my foot in my mouth. The weather is more forgiving than it used to be, and no risk of the altar cloths being sun-damaged either. But I wouldn't mind being able to keep out the bats. It was good of you to stop in. Lord see you safely home again. Judging by the clock, I can afford another errand today. And discovered a couple of story crafting ideas if I can ever get my first bloody story done. Motive: feared predators. Motive: fought a flying creature. Continue. Okay, that got me a census page. I should now be up to 6. Ugh, trying to fart around with that. Let's just head outside. Let's see, Thrall Street. I could ask Harjit to show me a route. No, I just don't want to even bother there. The bazaar is banging here. Oh. I'm going to have to go do something possibly very unwise. No, strike that. I'm going to do something I know is unwise because I believe that it will further the game. Mr. Pages may expect me to turn up with my ministry badge on. I am going to change. For Mr. Pages, we'll go with the badge. That'll do. The badge will eliminate any expectation of a social visit at any rate. I'm satisfied with this. I'll wear the badge to go see him, but for Mr. Pages watches our arrival intently, gleaning something from the fact we've come together. Oy. The atmosphere in the room is glacial, and my arrival does not thaw it. Oh, Grizz and Mr. Pages are really on the outs at this point. Grizz neither looks at nor speaks to Mr. Pages any more than she can help. If it were a bookcase or a handsomely made globe, it would have more of her attention. Do you have anything more? I'm still not sure how to do Mr. Pages. I don't want to put over everything at once. There's going to be commentary about each one. So let's work our way through. Hand over Horatia. Mr. Pages pays. Then it puts the census page and a stack of others much like it. It weighs the stack down with a paperweight. If I look too hard at the paperweight, my eyes sting. This one is of interest, but merely faciant, lacking authority. I don't have a filing index for that combination. I will designate a sigil and a suitable ink. Oh dear. Is this one of those sigils that gets wiggly if you don't use the right ink? Or is this one that you use a particular ink to empower it? Or this sounds... The colors on the last sigil burned my eyes. Do you have anything more? Well, let's go with the page about Grizz. This ought to be exciting. This form merits 2 pennies. Ha ha! Pages turns the papers over carefully. There's nothing interesting in there, I promise. It's all exactly as I told you before. Expectated. Do you have anything more? I am reminded, why am I still seeing... Something's not right here. Why am I still seeing the Reverend over on what should be... There we go. How did that... My preview stopped playing. Went static on me. Suddenly realizing... having a minor issue here. Alright, there we go. Got my preview back. Monitor screen had gone static. Alright, we're working through this. Let's go on and get to Rachel. Mr. Pages is pleased enough with my information to give me 2 pennies. It looks through the sheets of the form in its usual way. It doesn't find much to interest it in the account of Rachel's romantic life. It is much more intrigued by her employment. She invents love stories? From nothing? There are any number of novels printed every year in London. The price of paper was recently reduced. These stories we will acquire. If they are suitable, then we will also acquire the authoress. I don't like the sound of that at all. Well, I could offer to arrange an introduction for Grizz. I could frown, or I could simply acknowledge this. Let's just go with the neutral. This is suddenly getting very iffy. Oh, of course. You are new to the Neath. Do you have anything more? Oh, I got judged there. Yeah, you don't know what's going on here. Noob. I have a page for David. I have got used to the transaction now. There are 7 forms thus far. This should be commemorated. Grizz has suggested that the agents of the ministry should appear respectable. Moreover, that black is a respectable color of clothing. I have obtained an article. It was not made with Mr. Vale's wares. I hope this will not give offense. Mr. Vale's should not be given the measure of you. Oh, that has so many connotations. Oh my gosh, we could unpack that phrase. Just in the neo-pagan idea of a measure being the red thread that's used to take your physical measurements at your initiation and is then attuned and becomes a power token. And then the whole idea of any data describing you being possible access. I mean, there's a whole mystic level of privacy here of, yeah, Mr. Vale learns any of the numbers about me, that could give it access to stuff. Let's move on. New item acquired. Black coat. Suitable for funeral processions and the attendance of graves. Wearing it makes me more conscious of grim truths, but also better able to lend comfort. This is a useful thing. I'm going to put it on pretty much immediately. It seems he cares for his sister more than for any other. Mr. Vale has a sister. Nonetheless, his affections are prolific. There's some promise in that. Oh, I misunderstood who he was talking about, didn't I? Yeah, that was Daniel. Do you have anything more? I have, well, let's go with Ivy. So Ivy's highlighted, and then there's Theophilus. I can take my penny without flinching under its stare. An exemplar example. Her mother is resilient of heart. She herself also. I'm going to say that I liked her. Of the two choices, I liked her. Your application of companion at time outside of the ministry is your own. What you do on your own time, I don't fucking care about. Okay, there's my PG-13 F-bomb. Any more and it becomes an R-rated stream. We do not forbid revisiting the subjects of the census. Do you have anything more? That sounds almost like maybe you should go talk to her again. Oh, I have one more. I have Theopolis. Mr. Pages is pleased enough with my information to give me 2 pennies. Riz specificated the existence of holy men who were wedded to the church. This one appears to have been wedded to a woman only. A disappointment, though we thank you. It might have been something more. And he's looking at Grizz when he says that. Or at least, kind of shifted that direction. It contemplates the final sheet of the census form again. That is enough of my official duties for the moment. It is time for you to depart. You've done your work. Get the fuck out. Oh, there's 2. I render my thanks and good wishes to all parties and bow myself out. I did not have a chance to be flirtatious with Mr. Pages. I think that I think that window has closed. That would be somewhat unfortunate, as it is a thing that the game wanted from the player. We'll catch it on the next run-through. The hallways outside are hushed, except that if I listen closely, there's a sound like something walking with an uneven gait. It doesn't say someone. Its shoes, or perhaps its toenails, click on a polished floor. Funny shoes. Mr. Funny Shoes. Horatio will be setting out the food now. I'm going to change. I want to get the badge off. We will swap the lapel to the fake but vibrant corsage and swap the torso for the new black coat. And we look a lot snazzier for dinner. There we go. Grizz is here by herself. Suppose you've heard the news. Oh dear. Assume that all news is bad news. I can ask what's happened, or I can suggest it can wait until I've served myself stew. I'm not that anxious for that bloody mushroom stew. Ask what's happened. Which news is that? The Masters have received word from the surface. The rest of the world is all still there. The remains of England, France, all the rest as it was. Only London was abstracted. There are crates and crates of mail from the world above. They're going out to London now as we speak. Well, well, well. I can joke about the likely price of stamps. I can shout with glee, totally out of character. I'm going to comment on the Masters controlling this access because it's 266 days, and then they decide to let the mail go through, and it's all these crates of mail that have backed up. It would be the Masters and no one else who control the way back. I don't know what you think that signifies. The Masters are the ones who know most about what is going on. But her backup... Archie, did you hear? I did at that. So it's true. I mean to get a seat on the next mail coach that goes above. I'm not sure that the mail came by coach, and it certainly did not come by train. Well, however it came, I mean to go back that road. I could propose other ways one might reach the surface. Lift. I could try to temper Archie's expectations. He's setting himself up for a grand disappointment. I could encourage Archie's plans and set him up even worse. Or I could be a total blithering idiot and ask how soon we can expect to be rescued. We're not being rescued. London has fallen. We're not. We went with it. We were part of it. There's this whole thing with freeholder law that I could get into that I'm actually poking at a bit in bread spotting. Why am I not seeing anything at all in the chat room? I haven't seen anything at all in the chat room, and I really should have. If nothing else, I've got a bot that should be dropping a URL for my coffee in the chat. I'm gonna have to deal with that later. I want to continue on with the stream here. Really don't want to interrupt the game to go. Oh, hello. We've just arrived. Oh, good. Thank you. That tells me that the chat is working. I have had a couple of minor little issues along the way, and a little concerned. Okay. Let's speculate here. Possibly there's a carriage drawn to the upper earth by a team of giant moles. Oh no, I'm just mocking him. Look, Mr. Page has sent us all a gift. Yes, Grizz, please change the subject. She takes out a package wrapped in brown paper and string and sets it down on the table. Inside are half a dozen fresh pork and apple sausages. Oh my God. Hello, Cherry. How are you? Good to see you. Better than Christmas, love. Thank you, Mr. Pages, for us. Those will have to be cooked quickly. If those are fresh sausages, they won't keep. I'll make them up for Sunday lunch. Now, I could join in Horatius' thanks, or I could totally look a gift horse straight in the mouth, come perilously close to biting the hand that just literally fed us, and question the masters giving treats to their favorites. Well, we don't know that Mr. Pages isn't giving out sausages to other people. I'm sure he's gotten more than that few there. I'm going to not be inflammatory here. Yes, thank you, and Mr. Pages. I don't suppose Mr. Pages does a line in red pudding? Oh, please, no. I hope not. It is Mr. Hartz who has been arranging the import of surface meats. Well, wouldn't it be, then? But I don't think Mr. Hartz would consider a red pudding a very suitable gift. How many masters are there, then? I've only seen the census pages for a few of them. When I try to count, I always lose my place and have to start again. But I dare say it is just my nerves. I don't think Mr. Pages would like to find me looking through that file. Yeah, I can keep quiet and eat. That's what I've got. I chew diligently. We finish eating. let's see. I still need to do at least one more census page. I've got to figure out this story thing. And I'd really like to go to the market and see. I've got 4 pennies here that aren't tagged for anything. I'd like to see what sort of, maybe a nicer hat in a couple of senses of the word. The hat I've got is something of an asshole. Oh, that's a very smart suit. Yes, it is. That is the black coat that Mr. Pages gave me for completing a bunch of census pages, and assured me that it is not made with any wares that have passed through the possession of Mr. Vales. That there's no connection with Mr. Vales, which seems like maybe a little risky, because Mr. Vales, as I recall, has mastery over textiles. Excuse me. Let us roll back. Six days remain in the season of confessions, and I should take a moment to review, since you've just arrived. This is my first run-through of this game. There will probably be at least 2 more run-throughs before I move on to anything else. Partly because I realized I was playing it totally wrong. There's that whole thing of figuring out what the game wants from the player that the Clovers all talk about. Yeah, I was playing way too risk averse, so I gotta try and open up on this thing and see what I can do with the rest of this run. Once the season of confessions passes, there's another season, and then there is the one-day festival of the Mask of the Rose, and that wraps the storyline. For once, I know just what I'll see in the paper. Contact achieved with the surface of the Earth. Travel possible via Z route. Oh yes, the Unter Z. Oh, and that gets into Sunless Sea, which is another game from Feel Better Games. Their games are all wonderfully twisted. Sunless Sea, I do recommend, but it comes with the same content warnings as anything in Fallen London. Yeah, and I added a tag to the content warning for my stream because of some of the stuff that I'm delving into here. Mail collected from above. It goes on and on like this. I spent a good part of the morning devouring the pages. There are hardly any pictures. It's too early for illustrations. The bloody hell it is! What sort of illustrated paper are we running here? The etching artists would have had pen and inks done and line drawings in the paper by the time the writers had the story ready to typeset. I mean, oh my gosh, I used a lot of period art from the Police Gazette and a couple of other sensationalist tabloid newspapers of the Victorian period. They knocked together these line drawings to illustrate the stories so freaking quick. Oh, I mean, the risk of going to see Ivy hatless is that she may very well try to sell me a new one. I'm going to end up with a new hat out of this. Okay, this is not a problem. This is an expectation and actually a goal, but okay, move on. And I'm not going to wear the asshole hat. Izvestia, it's good to see you. Hats, pins, masks, clothes, sundry unspeakables. Not unmentionables, unspeakables. One of those masks looks very much like the one worn by Professor Pig. The one below it, is that some sort of, like, stormtrooper helmet or something? What is that? Here, what is, there's a, something there that I'm not sure what that quite is, but it doesn't look quite, it looks like it's a visual joke here. Well, let's see. I could mention the renaming of the Thames. I could express relief and surprise at Ivy's continued survival. Oh, you're still here. Hadn't quite expected it. That's not... It looks like a Star Wars mask to us also. Yeah. Yeah, I think we've got a visual reference here, you know? Or I could come straight to the point. Let's start with the conversational gambit that's not going to be... Oh, you've actually managed to scrape through to another day. I'm actually, a little surprised about that. That seems just... not a good opening. Now recount the newspaper story. The Thames is no longer supposed to be called that. Oh. They have recommended it henceforth be named the Purchased River, or the legitimately acquired estuary, hence the Stolen River. I make the story as engaging as I can, plenty of detail and a fair sprinkling of dramatic pauses. I'm sick of hearing about the fall, frankly. I had to spend it tending to my dear ma'am. I dare anyone to survive that and still be walking about. Let's move to new topics. I laugh but let the subject drop. You missed a spot of color this morning. A man came in with a basket of so-called fish. Mobbed he was. Sold for 10 guineas each. Guineas? Oh my. He's charging upscale prices by charging guineas instead of pounds. That's actually a historical reference there. 10 guineas each, he's demanding a premium. A guinea is worth £1, 1 shilling. It was normally used for paying artists and people who were worth the extra bit for the creativity or whatever. Prices in upscale places continued to be stated in guineas long after the coin ceased to be circulated, which was sort of a class distinction. If you were of the class to be shopping here, you knew how to do the numbers in your head. Well, they wasn't fish. Cold and wet and slippery maybe, but not fish. Oh? I don't know what they were. I just know what they weren't. And what happens to the people who eat those? Well, I mean, they're Brits. They're used to eating eels. They'll be fine. Look at Navy's goods for sale. I could get something respectable and ladylike. That's actually a fairly nice business top, sort of thing that someone working at an apothecary might wear. Something respectable and gentlemanly. That's terrible. It's just brown and kind of... Wow. Something at home in the university. Not sure I want to go that pretentious. A garment right for society. A ladylike straw hat suitable for making new friends, or a gentleman's top hat suitable for making new friends. That gentleman's top hat has grass and mushrooms on top of it. It has got fungus growing out the top. Oh, right. There's no flowers, but why would you put... Hats help make new friends. Yeah, hats do help make new friends when they're not being total jerks. I've got that hat that I refuse to wear that gives me more curmudgeonly conversation choices. And I'm like, why would I want that? Well, of the two, the ladylike straw hat is charming in its own way. The top hat is just so incongruous with the I mean, one expects whatever sort of flora or analog is available to be used for decoration on a lady's hat. A top hat top hats don't have flowers on tacked on like that. Why would you? It looks like this hat has been left outside too long. Okay, I'm going to have a look at this. What's it going to cost me? An exceptionally of the mode piece, trimmed with mushrooms as style currently demands? We've been down here too long already. I could give her 3 pence, overpay for the stylish top hat with the mushrooms. I could pay her 2 pence and offer a fair price. I could offer a low price and hope for the best, or I could just give up on buying the hat after all. I do want the hat. Generally in these games, if you overpay, you get information or something. There's generally a thing that's underneath that option. I'll give you 3 pennies for the stylish top hat with mushrooms. Well now, I'd have taken 2, but they say generosity always does come back to you. Not sure it's true, comrade, but I owe you one now. There we go, I've got a favor owed. New item acquired, mushroom top hat. Grand and exotically trimmed. It is the sort of thing to wear when I want to get to know someone better, like Rachel. I just cannot get over the fungus on top of the hat. I'm sorry. That is really messing me up. Pretty much the only decoration that was put on a top hat was a funeral ribbon or funeral wreath. Alright. We've looked into Ivy's goods. We've spent 3 pence. 3 pence. Gonna make so many friends with that. I hope so. I really hope so. Finish this conversation. I make my excuses to be going. Oh well, top of Rome for me. I could decide to court her. Retain platonic intentions. Treat her like a sister. I had previously decided to be friends. I'm going to try and go for sister. She seems like the sort of person... She's survived just some truly awful stuff, and then has got a barrow running here, is actually managing to maybe make something of a living. Kept her mother alive. I grin. That leaves time for another errand today. Okay, let's see what we've got. That got me the first things first, change the outfit. Hat. There's the Admiral's hat. The asshole hat that I just do not want to wear. And here is our mushroom top hat. Go back. There's our outfit that we've got going. Alright. Working towards something a bit dapper here, I think. Certainly a bit flash. Between the mushroom decorations on the hat and the obviously fake bright blue flower, I'd say we look like a well-to-do person about town, yes. Now we're finally getting somewhere here with this. I need to go out, and I have... I still owe Horatia. I could pay her off. But I've gotten dressed up, and I should have a place to go. I'm going to continue my romance with Rachel. Really, I consider what a Landau would make of my current garb. I'm satisfied with this. I am going. Good afternoon. I'll see whether my master and mistress are at home. Rachel. I'm here to work on the relationship, on the romance. Let's flirt. We were destined to meet. If London hadn't fallen, we would have met on the surface instead. I'm sure of it. It had to be. I wonder how sincere your interest. You may merely wish to upset my brother, a cause in which I am in full sympathy. If you want to piss off my brother, I'm here for it. Oh my. Oh my. Well, did I tell you that Milton is thinking of publishing his own literary journal? I've got to meet Milton. Something clean-lined and brisk and free of fuss. That sounds like the illustration's really going to pop. With none of the floral furbelows you find cluttering the bookstalls. Ah, straightforward prose, possibly non-fiction, no poetry. She fills in a few more details about Milton's literary aspirations, but in time this well runs dry. I've been thinking of you. Can you repeat that one? I need to locate a pen. Oh dear. I worry over you. Sometimes the thought crosses your face that I can't read. What troubles you? Well, I could describe Grizz's misadventures at her townhouse. I could talk about my fears for others, just sort of in general. I mean, we all have. I think there was 5 bells. Wasn't it 6 in the last... No, wait a minute. That was the previous day. Never mind. Or I could apologize for not wishing to speak of it. That closes off the conversational line, and I don't want to close it off, so let's just roll out the story. I explain that Grizz thinks she might be going a bit mad. She saw something when she went back to her family home. A strange business. I tried to give Rachel the gist of it without going into detail, but it's impossible, of course. Every particular leads on to some other question or explanation. Well, it's not madness. The honey that transports people, there are other stories of it. Milton even offers some at his salon now and then, though not in quite such picturesque circumstances. Yeah, they were, well... Oh. Try kissing Rachel. That seems a bit forward. I could turn the subject to her artistic friends. Or I could finish this. I'm not done talking with her. Let's, Rachel falls into telling me stories of Milton's salon. It is attended mostly by writers and poets, especially daring poets will sometimes attempt a reading, but Milton's side commentary has proven a deterrent to the softer-bellied. I think they actually meant snide. He has no patience with work that's made to pattern. If it's a story about the uncomplaining suffering of wives, servants, children, or dogs, there's also a strict rule against paeans to the faithfulness of Penelope or Ruth or the Virgin Mary. If anyone dares anything like that, he quips it out of existence. She goes on like this for some time, introducing me in turns to all the characters of that world, whether highborn or not. I prepare to go, but we find we each have more to say. We spend a while longer talking inconsequentially about this and that. Rachel's conversation circles back to Milton's salon, which is plainly the source of most of her social engagement. At first, he wouldn't entertain anyone who painted or sketched, or worse yet, committed acts of sculpture. He said you couldn't tell enough about the souls of the characters, and it wasn't interesting to him if it didn't afford a view. Everybody, the powers that be here, Masters of the Bazaar and the Devils, are both looking for emotional content. One wonders if they're deriving some sort of nourishment from it. But he was converted out of that view by the contribution of the Solomons, especially Simeon, who, according to Milton, makes all his painted heroes into a temptation and a reproach. I've known some furry artists like that. There's some YIF art that I think could be that is both a temptation and a reproach. After that, the rules against visual representation were somewhat relaxed, and the company grew more mixed. The business of the salon is evidently central in Rachel's existence, and at the same time, it is the one thing that David will not allow her to discuss at home, which is why she's going on about it at such length with me. She's got someone to talk about it with. So she tells all of it to me, never tiring of its personalities and its particular etiquette, so unlike the manners of her own family. Whatever flirtation has started between us, it is simmering along. Well, I've got to go somewhere with this. Deciding not to romance Rachel is antithetical to what I've been working at. Decide to kiss Rachel, that's the second time that option has come up in this particular scene. It's feeling rather anvilicious at this point. I am in love with Rachel. I am not in love with Rachel. I am certainly interested in, well, wherever this is going, and she seems quite a straightforward sort. This could turn out to just be a friends with benefits thing. We'll see. I am in love with Rachel. No, I am not. I am no longer have romantic feelings for Rachel. Why would I have such a sudden, strange turn? My opinion is unchanged. Oh, please. That's weaning out. My feelings are stronger than ever. I'm just going to go for it. Bugger it. I give Rachel a provocative look. It's time to go home. Oh, bother. That looked like it went really suddenly nowhere, like, just boom. It's time to go home. Nope, nope, nope. You're leaving. That's it. That didn't go well. I don't think that went well at all. Really don't. I do love some of the detail in the back. The menorah is perhaps a little heavy-handed, but it's a symbol that people will recognize. But there's also the Kiddush cup and the 2 candlesticks for lighting the Shabbos candles. They've given a little bit of a thought to the trappings of a Jewish household here. I'm going to change clothes before dinner because I'm not going to wear my hat to the dinner table. That'll do. Alright. Well, everybody's here tonight. It started snowing outside. That's not snow. It isn't ordinary snow. It's oobleck. Oh my god, it's oobleck. Something has gone very badly at the ministry. Mr. Pages took away a great supply of our papers, together with many of the books and novels it had assembled. Maybe it's got what it wanted. All of them taken into the bazaar in wheelbarrows, so many that it attracted quite a crowd. I thought those were for his personal collection. No, he was always planning to take them to the bazaar, but it didn't go well. And that seemed to concern him even more. He said London might not last long in the snow. How did it not go well? She hasn't specified what's gone awry with hauling the books and papers and so forth over to the bazaar. Was Mr. Pages trying to present them to the other masters? Did he jump the gun on the collection, maybe? Because I haven't turned in the last census form yet. Reassure her. Don't worry, Mr. Pages is easily agitated. I don't think that means we're safe. Yeah, if he goes off easy, that doesn't make it any... You see how that doesn't make it any better? Chris shakes her head. Mr. Pages has a very lively fear of what may happen next, and I cannot put this out of my head. For a moment, no one speaks. I'm going to keep quiet and eat and chew diligently. Dinner reaches an end. I didn't make a bloody bit of progress on any of my goals. I've got to find the one more census. Ugh. All right. Another morning, another newspaper. The headlines today read, population of rats and spiders in London said to have tripled overnight. Told you it wasn't snow. If I am not too occupied otherwise, I can always ask my friends and acquaintances whether there's anything they need from me. They may have some additional tasks for me. Hint, plop, thud. First things first, put my hat on. It's a very cunning hat, don't you think? Now, Hogs Lane Market has a pence symbol. Thorl Street has a pence symbol. Seems like this is more someplace I could spend pence. I've already done the census form with David. Nothing there at all. It's emptied out. Let's go on and get Horatio paid. I have the money. Let's go on and get it done. Horatio won't mind me in this. I'm satisfied with this. You meet her in the dining room. Vestia, it's good to see you. Expressed relief and surprise at Horatia's continued survival. Tried to do this with Ivy Fitzclare earlier and did not. I did not choose this option because it just seems kind of rude. Oh wow, you're still alive? I didn't expect that. Let's talk about the headline. I recount the newspaper story. There are more and more vermin in London. Of course there are. Oh. The article did not provide a survey of the bat population. Usual thing, I make the story as engaging as I can. All this talk of monsters makes me very grateful for Harjet. Well, I could say it's good to encounter new things. Perhaps, you know, there may be some good come of the increase in the rat and spider population. I could talk about the need to protect oneself, or simply drop this topic. Let's go with the suggested safety begins at home. We should look after our own and be careful of things and people we don't know. You never know what's out there. Horatia nods along and even finishes a few of my sentences for me. She's obviously in agreement. Harjet says the Besham's neighbors vanished overnight. Oh dear. They'd been talking of making a run for it, just striking out north and seeing what they found. Not enough to eat around here, it seems. Alright, I need to give her the back rent. Here, you're owed this. Horatio briefly squeezes my hand. I'm going to thank her for her help. I'm grateful you gave me so long. It's what we do here. Quest complete. Finish paying my back rent. There's something I need for dinner if you'd be willing to go. I can agree out of friendliness, I can agree simply, or I could laugh it off. So, a significant raise in rats and spiders could mean their predators are dying off massively, or they found a new food source. Both are worrying. Oh, yes, that is in fact very concerning. Yeah. So, Let's go with the friendly option here. Of course I will. Thank you. You're a kind soul. No, I'm not. She goes into the basement. She's down there for so long, I start wondering if she's coming back. When she comes back, she has an assemblage of empty jars, which she piles into a bag for me. Take them to the market and get them filled, as many as you can. Oil first, then solids, whatever they've got. Don't let them sell you more than 1 jar of cricket flour. We can use it, but we don't go through much. And as for the purple mushrooms, make sure they're dead. Don't accept the live ones. How will I know? If it jumps out of the jar, it's not dead. Well, oh dear. Right. Warp. Okay. Unlike Gach, the purple mushrooms are best eaten dead. Whack them on the counter a couple of times. Oh, now you've stunned them. The trip takes a long time. Half the stalls are already empty, half the remaining stalls are not offering anything we'd want. But I finish Horatia's commission in the end. Oh, I don't have to play through it. Okay. I can just manage another errand today. There we go. Okay. Excuse me. Heading outside, the boarding house has, I think, cleared at this point. I'm not seeing any more symbology around it. Is that, and it's going to cost me, I just know it. Spend delicious time with Rachel. Oh my. Well, I could, but I still have that damn census form, and I have no idea. Can't even go to the bazaar. Nothing to do there. See whether so-and-so needs anything. It was hinting rather heavily that I needed to see whether someone needed anything. Let's check with David. Yeah. I'm going to keep this outfit. I don't see any reason to change. Good afternoon, Izvestia. I hope you've not grown too sick of mushrooms. I can flirt with him. I can question whether the Masters will control surface access. Of course the Masters will control surface access. But I'd like to know his thoughts, where he stands on the matter. What his expectations are. Let's go for it. I would be pleased about the new route to the surface, but I can't help wondering, will the Masters even allow us to go? I feel worse than when there wasn't a way back at all. David hears me out, listening intently and not interrupting. Well, nice, he's an active listener. I find myself explaining more than I expected to, oh dear. I'm glad that you told me. It strikes me that I know very little of your own family. I could boast to the fine people I helped dress. That's going to come off all bougie, and I don't think that's going to go over well with David. I could talk about the inventive side of tailoring, or I could invent a story of my elevation. I could lie. I've got a boost, probably from the hat and coat both, but oh, the hell with it. Let's go with the thing that's got the icon. I used to dine with Lord Palmerston before the fall. He consulted me on matters of state confidentially. David studies me for a long time, then nods. I meant to ask you whether there's anything I can help you with. I don't suppose you could come between Milton and my sister. I'd love to meet Milton at the very least. Convince her that there are superior options elsewhere? Well, I'm certainly spending some time with her myself. Or that she'd be happier alone. I'd rather not send her that direction, if you don't mind. I won't suggest speaking to him about it. That would be a lost cause. I can recommend leaving Rachel alone. Or I can say I'll do what I can to separate Rachel and the gentleman and lie about it in order to get the information hidden under this. I'll see what I can do. Thanks, my friend. Well, bloody hell. Ask David what he thinks of his sister's occupation. Is it a strange business having an authoress for a sister? My sister is a very accomplished authoress. I have sometimes wondered whether that choice of occupation has been good for her. Encourage him to elaborate on why. Oh, why is that? The work takes a toll on her. The publisher is demanding the public censor all manner of letters. Oh, yeah. Some of which are horrific, and yeah, you have to have a secretary with a strong stomach open your mail for you. Some of these communications are harmless, but there are others that she takes painfully to heart. But it is too late to withdraw from the business now. My mother permitted Rachel's writing. While she was alive, I did not think I had a right to intervene. Now it is too late. You still don't have a right to intervene. I'm certainly not going to help you with that. I cannot help being proud of Rachel when I read her work, but it has kept her thoughts busy and her hours occupied, and she is still unmarried. Oh, here we get around to... If anything happens to me, I would have wanted her to have a safe household of her own with a man. Gotta get her married off. Perhaps she would have even have married someone who lived outside the bounds of the city and been spared all this. Ugh. I must be going. I'm already late. Everything is always running too slowly, and yet every day is the same. I have only platonic intentions towards David. My face betrays my feelings. It is nearly time for supper. I'm just gonna go straight to the table. Bother removing the hat. Horatia arrives late to supper. What's on your boots, Horatia? Ew. It looks like milk and smells like a sewer. Don't go into the basement. I could point out that she's already forbidden us down there. I could question the safety of the attic. What's going on in the basement? Do we have something going on above us as well? Or I could simply accept this rule. I'm going to point out, to poke at that. Thought we already weren't supposed to go there. There's a new reason. The floor down there is flooded. I moved everything to higher shelves. I can offer my help. I can delight in the mystery, which the hat and the corsage are both apparently giving me a bonus on. Or I can blame the bizarre characters who haunt London these days. Let's just not go with that. Let's go with the suggested one that's got the icons. How marvelously strange. I could do with fewer mysteries if they made less of a mess. There's a brief lull in the conversation. I have powers over this house that I did not always have. One might even say that I share in the house, that its body is mine in a sense. My foundations go deep. What are you telling me? That the fabric of this house obeys me. The windows callous over. The roof grows barbs. The basement extends much further than it used to. I can't write down my methods. Archie wouldn't think it was scientific. I could ask how this happened. I could accept that this is a natural neath evolution for her, or I could simply drop this topic. Suggested has an icon. This is what the neath does for a landlady. One who cares for her tenants, at any rate. I don't think this happens to everyone. Not every boarding house is placed as we are. Okay, keep quiet and eat. Chew diligently. Meal is over. There are no more mushrooms on my plate. We move on. We still have not found the last census person, and that is beginning to get on my nerves. Really am going to have to give that some serious thought and see what I can do to figure it out. May end up having to go to a wiki or something. I don't always figure these things out, you know, it's... Another morning, another newspaper. This morning's lies open on the table. Barrett's Menace Eradication seeks reliable employees unafraid of rats. Aha. So, we are now looking for some sturdy folks willing to take the place of the missing predators. Or at least compensate for there not being enough predators to deal with the surge in population. Okay, yeah. Make additional tasks for me. David had certainly some stuff he wanted to talk about. Alright. Let's see, we've got some things going on. Got an exclamation point here at the boarding house. I could see whether Horatia needs anything. You know what? Let's go spend some delicious time with Rachel. It's not a good day for a call, I'm afraid. The master's not feeling his best. I'm sure he'll be in better form tomorrow if you want to visit then. She promises to tell the family I visited, but hustles me out again quickly enough. That didn't take up too much time. I just have time for another errand today. Well, bother. Wasted an action. Boarding house. Let's see whether Grizz needs anything. It keeps giving me that hint. Vestia, it's good to see you. Well, I could make dark predictions about the snow, I could describe the flying beast at St. Albans, or I could come straight to the point. I don't want to make dark predictions about the snow. We've already talked about the not snow, about the Ooblack, and let's move on to... I had an encounter with this thing. It was at the church, when something enormous landed on the roof, not a bat or an ordinary bird. It looked in on us from above for some time before it gave up and flew off. I go on for some time and make no effort to hide how frightening the whole business was. The description becomes more frank as I go on. Grizz listens in such an encouraging way that I find myself explaining further. Oh dear. There, I'm glad you felt you could be open with me. My family were great ones for keeping their thoughts to themselves. I had a curious memory this morning. Before the fall, was there an ex-governess living with us? A woman with copper hair and a stern expression? I frown. The description sounds familiar, and yet I can't place it. I'm always remembering odd bits from before. I think some of them are probably creeping in from dreams and never existed at all. I meant to ask you whether there's anything I can help you with. There is something I wish to try. There we go. A sort of Neethi ceremony in which people share their difficulties. Mr. Pages has said that the ministry approves of such things. That in fact it is good for a city to form new holidays and rituals to accustom itself to the Neath, and this is how the various festivals got mutated. And not to go on pining for the sun. You've just been flatly told you're not ever seeing the sun again. Get over it. If we decide to do it, we must do it before the season of Yule. And we're advised to perform the ritual with people we know. So of course I thought of our little group here. I can refuse this obvious balderdash, or fine, it's something to do. Agree to try it. Why not? I can't see the harm. I can't see the harm. Mind you, let me throw something in for context and scale here. In the Victorian era, there was a parlor game played by the wealthy around the Yule season called Snapdragon. To play Snapdragon, you got out a broad, flat dish with a raised edge. Plate, and you put it up on a stand on a small table, and you poured a bit of brandy in it, so that you had a nice, little, maybe 1/8 inch deep puddle of brandy in the bottom of this broad flat dish, and you sprinkled in a few black currants or whatever dried fruit was available. And then you set the bloody thing on fire, and the point of the game was to reach in and snatch out the bits of dried fruit and put out the fire by sticking it in your mouth. So, when my character says, I can't see the harm of a new ritual, this is the foundation they're coming from. These are people who played parlor games with burning brandy. So, I've also played party games that were deleterious to my health. Yeah. I think we've all done things at parties that, yeah, there were some things, oh lordy, there's, yeah. Right. Beer pong, dear God, that can get you pretty wrecked. And that's a really common one. Celebrate Hallowmas with one of the folk at Chapman's. My knees hurt sometimes still. There is an Arrow reference here. Yes. Hallowmas. Somehow that sounds rather like what's going on in the retail stores in the United States right now, where all this stuff is up at the same time. For a moment, no one speaks. Last night, Mr. Pages and I were sorting the stories of love according to type. Mr. Pages suggested we include a category for the anatomically unachievable. That actually might not be amiss. This necessitated a demonstration? Oh dear God. Oh no, literally, I tried to knee strike a friend while wrestling drunk and pulled a fracture that never healed right. Oh, I am so sorry about that. Oh no. Oh man, that's gonna really suck. Oof. I've had a bad knee since I was in kindergarten due to an injury involving a sandbox, but that's another story entirely. Okay, we did include a sexual content warning. Did you know that it's possible for extremely long nails to feel very gentle? Mr. Pages has been possibly overly forward with Grizz. Aw, dang. Damn, get it, Grizz? Say I don't want to hear about this. Warily ask what happened, or pause. I think I want to hear, but I have feelings of my own. Yeah, that third is sort of like, I need an adult. Let's see if she wants to kiss and tell. I'm curious in spite of myself. She remembers something. We shouldn't call Mr. Pages him. The best word is it. So it mentioned a language where the pronouns don't mean she or he, but bound one and unbound. Mr. Page's language is written for a culture based on power exchange. Ask whether she's lost in her train of thought or wait it out. Let's see where she's going with this. Sorry. You know how it is to bite into a ripe plum. Have you considered what it might feel like to be the plum in that situation? Oh my. Yeah, that's sort of getting into vor all of a sudden, isn't it? I want to learn more. Yeah, I mean this is starting to get into vor here, but you know. Oh, that that's wow. Encourage the explicit details. Let some of the story remain vague, or silently realize what relationship I want with Grizz. Oh, I'm torn between the first and third because have you ever considered what it might feel like to be the plum in that situation? And I'm like, ooh. Love the third option here. Yeah, there's that. Let's see where it goes. What the heck? I contemplate Grizz. I can secretly harbor jealousy about Mr. Pages, which seems like a valid response here. I can decide to court Grizz. I can back off to only platonic intentions. Like a member of my own family, I live in Tennessee. I just felt I should point that out. The context is important. Grizz and I should never be friends. We're already friends. Love the third option here. Yeah, okay, let's see. My opinion is unchanged. Sorry, I'm going back to the chat and rereading. My feelings are stronger than ever. I am going to secretly harbor jealousy about Mr. Pages. The thought hits me, but I don't show it. Back up. There's time to run another errand today. We already know that decisions matter in this game. Apparently, I don't still get to ask for explicit details. I had I lost the opportunity for that. That's unfortunate. There is a flirtatious option with Mr. Pages earlier on, and I avoided it, and now I am finding that I rather regret that. I think really I should have gone with that option. There's a buy a Hallowmas mask from the market. I've only got one penny. Let's see if I can manage to find a really cheap mask. Hallowmas masks, get your Hallowmas mask here. Do you have your mask for Hallowmas? Buy new masks, no cost to those who want to do their Hallowmas part. Oh, well. That's nice. Do your rights to Hallowmas. Relieve your friends' cares. I'm definitely interested, so the third option's right out. Let's ask her to explain more about Hallowmas. What the heck? What have we got here? Halamus, what's that mean? It's the holiday, isn't it? The feast of confessions and repenting? The feast for getting your secrets off your chest and onto someone else's? The only kind of feast fit for the end of the world? You wear your mask and you say the words and you listen to what they say in turn. Ups people's cares right up. You won't find a better mask in London. I could ask her to hear my confession. I could ask about the origins of Halamus. We know where it's coming from. It's coming from the Masters of the Bazaar. They've invented it in order to try and provide some kind of structure. I'll tell you my confession if you want. Oh, saucy! Not a chance, comrade, not for Jimmy O'Goblin himself. Jimmy O'Goblin. Is that rhyming? Is that a folkloric character? I don't recognize that name, and I've made somewhat of a study of Celtic folklore. Ah. If it's rhyming, it's not clicking. You mind that for safety. Only take confessions off your friends. Down here, the confession of a stranger will melt your ears straight off your head. Oh dear. Made these myself for fine ladies and gentlemen. There's just a few wasn't collected. Okay. Well, it wants me to either ask about the origins of Halamus, which was an option in the previous set, or consider her wares. Let's do the ask about the origins. Where did this festival come from? A new fashion for parties, something agreeable to dress up for. It was already here in the Neath when we arrived, and then again it didn't exist till yesterday. It's a salmagundi of prayers and pranks and sacrifices. What the hell is a salmagundi? Is that a Mr. Page's word, or is that a Hanklin Janklin? I'm going to have to look up salmagundi. You know? Salmagundi. What the heck? According to Oxford, Jimmy O'Goblin was slang for a pound note. Okay, so not if you paid me a quid. There we go. Oh. Salmagundi is a dish, and I have a feeling it may be like a jalfrezi. It is a cold dish or salad made from different ingredients, which may include meat, seafood, eggs, cooked and raw vegetables, fruits, or pickles. It sounds like a, It may be derived from the obscure 16th century French word salmagondis, which means disparate assembly of things, ideas, or people forming an incoherent whole. Salmagundi. Okay, I'm thinking she just called it a dog's breakfast. But people need it with the ceiling of the cave pressing down on them. Well, I'll consider her wares, because that seems to be the only way I'm going to get a mask. What have you got then? Owl or fox? The owl mask is for terror if you want to share of someone's fear. The fox mask is for desire, for calling out what people want and do not want to want. Oh dear. So, What is it you really desire? Oh, that's going to uncork so much stuff. What do you fancy? I can flirt, I can joke about other mask ideas, or I can critique the designs. Let's joke about other mask ideas. I haven't seen one fox since February. I don't suppose you do a bat mask, or how about a huge bulbous fungus? I don't, but I'll make a note of it for next year. Oh, bother. Assuming we all live so long. In any case, I don't have all day. If you want one, no cost to a good home. Okay, I can accept an owl, I can accept a fox, or I could refuse both. I'm going to accept the fox. I'll have the fox. You'll not regret it. Oh yes, I certainly will. Vulpin Halamus Mask. A Halamus mask, suitable for asking someone their desires. The ritual is new to London, but it already has become surprisingly popular. So now you can wear the fox mask to see Mr. Pages. Indeed, find out what he really wants. And remember, if you hear any good secrets, sell them dear. Well, let's see. I'm going to unchange my opinion here on this one. I shake my head, declare it. The ruminations are gone. All is as it was. All be well, and all manner of thing be well. It is almost time to eat. Go straight to the table. Action. Give Halamus confession. Continue. I've really got to read the wiki and make sure I'm somewhere along the line I'm not understanding the storytelling thing. I keep not progressing in that mechanic at all. No, I don't know where the others have got to. Archie and Riz are both missing. They do know when supper is served. Oh. Good evening. I'm looking for Archibald. Is he here? Archie? He's upstairs. Listen. Yes? I know all the old maps have been outlawed, but if you come for his atlas, do you think you could leave it with him? It gives him a lot of comfort remembering all those little villages in Scotland where his family used to live. I could put in a good word for Archie's map collection. I could let Harjit get on with it. This is probably ministry business. Of course it's ministry business. Oh, right, this was the cop, yes. Or I could keep quiet. Neither the second or third option are really palatable. I'm going to stand up for Archie. Yes, leave Archie his maps. He's not doing any harm with them. That isn't why I'm here. Oh, well. Let me back out a little bit. Oh, is it to do with his doctoring? Hope no one's too ill. I know Archie worries, trying to do a physician's work when he didn't finish his training. Does he often treat people? I could discourage Horatia from answering that, but explain there were a lot of injuries around here, or I could let Horatia reply, let's stay out of this. All sorts. We have people showing up here at every time of day or night. Not that there's much distinction now between the two. And I will say, for all he talks about not being trained, he's at his happiest when he's singing to someone. So calm and gentle, especially with the children. Very admirable. He's gotten closer. Have you ever known Archie to make mistakes? Prescribe the wrong dosages? He's fishing for something. See, that's why you don't talk to cops. I could mention that Archie has expertise in drugs and poisons. I could throw doubt on Archie, or just say I wouldn't know. Try to be non-committal here. I'm not in any position to say. No, I suppose not. Of course Archie chooses this moment to come down the stairs. Archie, I hope you're well. I'm sorry, Archibald. I'm here in the line of duty. It's about David Landau. Did something happen to him? I only saw him today. Shortly after your visit, he died by poisoning. Died? The poor man. Okay. My options here, the best option is react with shock, because that gives me, I've got 2 bonuses on it. What? But I saw him very recently. May you rest peacefully. I'm sorry to have to bring you this news. Is Rachel all right? Is there anyone with her to protect the house? She said you were the last person to speak with David, that the fatal dose must have come from you. I don't understand. There was an inquest and the jury found against you. I'm here to arrest you for murder. Wait a moment. I knew it was just time until someone went to riot. There's too many folks ill and it can cure the whole town. I could ask for a moment's semi-private conversation with Archie. I could speak up for Archie, ask if Rachel is alright, or I could be a total Judas and kiss him goodbye. Let me have a moment here. I'm gonna ask you something just for a moment, as long as you stay in sight. I can tell him I love him. Seems a bit of a waste. Quickly check that he didn't do this. Assure him he's not alone. And, or ask if he's going to survive. I'm going to quickly check with him. What's going on? What's actually going on? I'm sorry to ask, but you do this, surely. Eh, how can you ask me that? Not even by accident? Eh. Granted, it was not the same thing I'd been giving him the days previous. Or I had him on my own special medicine, but the bottle ran out and I had none new, so I gave him a common patent dose. But I tell you, there's naught wrong with it. If it's a patent medicine... patent medicine, it's probably not going to do any harm, but it's not going to do any good either. I've dosed a baby with the same bottle and it was hearty as a new lamb the next day. Assure him that he's not alone. You're not alone. We're all on your side and we'll come visit you until you're free. Thank you. Ahem. Speaking up for Archie is not going to be useful. Archie is a cop. You may beat the rap, but you will not beat the ride. I'm not going to ask about Rachel. I'm going to ask where Harjit is taking Archie. Where are you taking Archie? Newgate Prison was destroyed in the fall. For the time being, prisoners are held in the HMS Ungulate. Ungulate? Sounds like a very insalubrious environment. Cold, damp, infested with vermin. Breathing the vapors of the Thames. It might not be good for the health of the prisoners. You're not talking your way out that way. No, I mean, if you don't mind, before we set out, I'd like to collect a few doses of this and that. Things that might help to settle bad lungs and prolonged coughs. You're asking whether, before we go, you can be allowed to rearrange your collection of drugs and bring some of those drugs with you. That isn't quite how I'd have phrased it. When you stand accused of murdering a man through the use of potent toxins. Oh. For the sake of your future guards and cellmates, I think I must refuse. Harjit's already made up his mind. I'm going to speak up for Archie here. It's running out of options here. This must be a misunderstanding. Archie is dedicated to keeping people alive, and I don't see him having the nerve to hurt anyone. Not on purpose. No one can measure another person's courage just by looking. Alright, I've got to just let Archie go. Horatia, I'll be back as soon as I can. Don't let out my room to anyone else. We won't. Don't fret. We'll get to the bottom of it. Maybe Grizz's high-placed friends at the ministry will come in handy. It'll be a good thing if they did. Well, there's still dinner on the table, but Horatia doesn't have much appetite. Okay, new location discovered, the HMS Ungulate. That name is going to mess me up every bloody time it comes up. A foreboding former warship converted into a brooding prison hulk. I hope the name of the ship was changed when it was converted, because no one is going to take seriously a warship called the Ungulate. Personally, I think Ian Banks had the best names for warships in his novels about the culture, but then the culture ships have wonderful names in general. I mooched a bunch of names from it for my Earthdawn campaign, and there was that one warship called Now We Try It My Way. Alright. Celebrate Talamis with one of the folk at Chapman's. Well, Archie's not exactly available right now. Unless I can, you know, get him to confess. Oh dear. Visit Archie and find out how to reach his publisher directly. Be sure to finish before the season ends. Confess desires. Well, tainted drug circumstance. Still don't have the story crafting. I've only got 3 days left in the season of confessions. I gotta get somebody to open up. I'll have to put on the fox mask. For a moment after waking, I forget what happened last night, and then it comes back to me. The sight of Archie being taken away. Horatia staring at a plate of uneaten pie. The rest of the evening, strange as it was, and then stumbling back to my own bed. There is no mention of Archie's arrest in the morning's newspaper. I should find out who truly did it, or I should focus on saving Archie's neck regardless of the real culprit. If Archie actually did it, I'm sorry, I'm not going to try and get him out of it. You know, my country, right or wrong? No. Absolutely not. I need to know who actually did it. If it was Archie, it's maybe difficult. Persuading people to speak with me, figuring out the way through the possibilities. I will have to craft questions to ask people the way Archie showed me. Oh, bother, it might take some doing. I don't believe Archie did it. Whatever the truth might be, I don't think that's it. I am looking to put the right person in the hands of the law, or I am concerned even about the killer. Well, I'm certainly not looking to put the right person in the hands of the law. I have no problem putting throwing a murderer to the cops in order to get my friend out, but yeah. The law will dispose of the murderer's earthly fate, but those who have done a terrible wrong need other help and other guidance to make matters right with themselves and their community. There we go. Find out how David's relations are reacting to his death. Okay. This this game doesn't want you to invite Mr. Pages to confess desires. Probably not. This game is also running me into a bit of a brick wall with the build a story thing because I still haven't got this handed in and don't think I've really quite understood how all that is supposed to work. So what we're going to do here is we're going to return to the title screen. And oh, come here. Where is my cursor wandering off to? There we go. Find the silly thing. Let's see, where is the history? There are a few things here that need to be gotten into. We've got, where is it? Good heavens, there we go. So, it is 10 till, but we've hit a good stop point here. And I need to read up on the mechanic here and make sure that I'm doing it and that I understand it before I try and delve any further. I need to know how to make sure I've got this story thing. I'm not getting any progress there. So, I would like to note that I am part of a group called the Truck Community. We have a schedule there in the chat. There's streams going on every day of the week. We've got a lot more afternoon stuff going on nowadays. Very active stream community. Check it out. As it says on the screen, trans rights are human rights. Black lives matter and indigenous lives matter, and land back is not a metaphor. And if we don't get a few things figured out bloody quick, none of us are going to make it out of here. It has been a time. Next week is going to be something extraordinary, because if we look down in the corner here, we'll see that tonight was stream number 51. Next week will be my 1-year anniversary of streaming. That's quite a thing. That's a thing to think about. So, don't know if I'll be doing anything in particular for it, but it will be a point to mark. So, until